Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Erin. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much again for joining us. So excited to have you all here, and just gonna dive right in. All right, so we're going to talk today, focus on augmented reality or AR. For those of you who aren't familiar with the term, augmented reality, best to think of it kind of in relation to virtual reality. So with virtual reality, which everyone is a little bit more familiar with, right? When you put on a headset or something like that, you're fully immersed in the space. Everything you're seeing is digital. How augmented reality is different is it takes those digital elements and it overlays them on top of your real world surroundings. So you're seeing both digital content and the real world in front of you. So that's kind of the difference between augmented and virtual reality. A little bit of an overview on what we're going to start with a bit of an overview on how we do AR, our kind of our most popular use cases. Then we're going to dive into some case studies, different things that are being done in the space, and in particularly in admissions and other college departments. Then we're going to have a little bit of time for Q&A. All right. Great. So here we have what our kind of standard AR card looks like, right? So we kind of got started using building out business cards. So it's a way to take the back of your business card, something that you probably already print and have on you at all times, and make it a little bit more interactive, dynamic, and engaging. So when you'll see here, this is a business card, right, that we did for GWU. And when you scan this QR code, you actually see this entire experience open up in front of you. Now, this experience has multiple different features, right? You've got one main primary call to action button up here. Usually this is a schedule a meeting or set up a time to chat, or apply button is right here. We can then have videos, photos, photo sliders, all kinds of media. Then we have secondary buttons, right? So additional links that you want people to be engaging with and interacting with that are kind of your most popular. And then we have things like social links, and then another direct link to your webpage. So you've got, as you can see right here, 10 links all right here, all directly from the back of your business card. So very engaging, very dynamic, and very useful, right? Because it's one click away rather than expecting someone to type in a URL. And the augmented reality adds that additional layer of engagement and excitement. So as you can see, these are just some basic elements, and now we're going to get into different ways that those can be kind of rearranged, moved around to create new and exciting things with augmented reality. Cool. So you can see here, this is actually an admissions letter that we did for CSU East Bay. So it's about postcard sized. On the back was their full welcome letter, letter of admissions. And then when a new admitted student scans this QR code, it opens up videos that are relevant for a new admitted student. So things like how instructional information, welcomes from the dean, links to accept their admission or learn more or set up a call with a counselor are all right there at their fingertips, all directly from the acceptance letter itself. Another version of a postcard, right? This is what we call multi-video. So when you scan this, again, this QR code, you actually can see each of these videos come to life, almost sort of like a Harry Potter portrait, right? And then a student can click into each of these and zoom in, see them a little bit bigger, hear the audio, see them each play. And so this is what we call a multi-video experience, because there's multiple videos all on the same page. This was actually their holiday cards. They sent this out to current students, families, as well as alumni. So it can be a great use case for lots of different things, right? If, for example, you're trying to raise money through an alumni giving campaign, this can be a great use case for that as well. A different way to use video is actually through green screen. So this is, again, another business card for a new program at the Fairfield Dolan School of Business. And when it's scanned, an actual green screen video of the assistant dean actually pops out and talks about um, the new program and the new experience. With that green screen, right, it adds more dimension and character, and it becomes much more interactive in that way. So another different way to use video to be even more engaging and dynamic. Moving on from video, we can also do three-dimensional models. So we can build these out as well. You can see here, Bishop's University has a building model on theirs, and then their whole brochure is again right behind it. Links to social, brand recognition, right? Everything you need right here. Building models are very popular, especially if there's a particularly iconic building on campus, one that really is tied to kind of campus identity as in all of the marketing. That can be a really great way to show that off. Mascots are probably most popular, so you'll see that over here with Millersville. Bishop's is a business card, right? Leads to their full brochure. Millersville is actually a sticker, so something that students are even more likely to hang on to, keep with them, attached to a water bottle or a laptop, and come back to again and again and again to see this kind of really fun mascot experience. I have a quote here from Anna Bradford from Millersville. Says, I have a form that's connected to the sticker to help me track some of that ROI, and I've been very happy with the results. So there's different ways to use it. You can add UTM links to each URL that gets linked through your augmented reality piece, so you can actually track analytics and data to see what students are and are not engaging with, and you can actually change it around. That's one of the real benefits of the digital augmented reality experience, right? Is because most of that content is digital, rather than you having to going through the whole process of 800 different people reviewing your brochure and looking it over and making sure it passes everyone's kind of final sign off, and then getting them all printed and shipped and mailed to you, and then having all of these very expensive, very glossy brochures. And then maybe a month or two later, you get a new donor and the name of a department changes, or say you find a typo on page 12 or something like that. Rather than you having to throw all of that away because it's not recyclable, right? Glossy paper is not recyclable. Rather than you having to toss all of that and lose all of that money and time and dedication that went into it, because you've only printed this small piece of paper and everything is on the digital end, we can actually update everything digitally in 2 to 3 business days. So you just send us an email with what needs to change. We update it on the digital end. It's updated, and no need to reprint anything at all. The QR code remains fully active. You can keep on passing them out, no issue, and everything that has already been passed out is also updated with that new information. So no one's ever going to have an out-of-date brochure for you because it will constantly be kept up to date on the digital side of things. It's one of the huge benefits of the tech. And you can use UTM codes and special CRM forms, right, to kind of track how students are engaging with that and adjust as needed. So that's one huge benefit of the technology. More with 3D models, right? We can do all kinds of things. You saw buildings, you saw mascots. This is actually a mask aligner. So really fancy kind of technological equipment, scientific equipment. If you're, say, a science school and you want to kind of show off things like that. If you've got a really cool, say, robotics department, you can have a model of the robot that they've built. So really 3D models can exist of all kinds of things. You'll see here this model actually includes what we call placement. You see that term right here. So what placement means is in the augmented reality experience, normally you have it's tracked to the card, so the business card that you've got, or the sticker, or what have you, and as you move your phone around it, you can kind of look at it on different sides and in 3 dimensions. With placement, what that means is you can take that model from off of the card and place it, say, on a table or on your floor or a desk, and then actually set it down there and then walk around it in 3D all the way around and see the full scope of things by placing it in your space. So that's another really great use case there. You can see more building models here. Where this is a multi-stage process we're doing for University of Pittsburgh. Primarily, we're working on buildings for them. But the real benefit of these is that these are actually buildings that do not exist yet. They're currently under construction. So they're using these 3D building models and these postcards to show students and alumni what those buildings are going to look like when they're completed. I believe there's also discussion of putting those same models on the signage at the building site so that rather than just seeing kind of everything covered up or all of the construction, you can actually scan it and then look and see the building appear in front of you and what it's actually going to look like. Another really great use of those building models, right? We also then here have the Cathedral of Learning. It's again one of their most iconic buildings on campus, and that actually branches out into two entirely separate experiences, all from this one card. You click on one button, it leads to their full brochure, so you can get all of that links and that engagement there, all of the informational content. Or on the second side of things, it actually opens up into a map of the building. So we have pinpointed different locations on the Cathedral of Learning, and when a student clicks on each one, it actually takes them directly to that stop on the virtual tour, so they can kind of get a tour of the building through that 3D model. You can see another example of that right here, or a similar example, right? This is TASIS England's dorm room. They have it set up again as a postcard. And when it's scanned, it opens up to a 3D model of the full dorm room. So great not only for exteriors of buildings, but interiors, right? So they wanted a chance to show off their dorm spaces to international students who are curious about what their living situation would look like, right? When you then click into each of these buttons, it takes you to a little zoomed in secondary 3D model of that space with information about the dorm room, content like that. So students, it's even more informative and engaging in that way. Really great way to kind of give students a sense of what campus life is going to be like. On an even larger scale, this is actually a full campus map, right? So this we did for University of Evansville. Again, it's a very small print piece, but when it's scanned, it opens up, you see the map appear in 3 dimensions. And then from there, again, you can click into each of these spots on campus. And then the really cool thing about this is it becomes a campus tour, both for students not on campus and for students on campus, right? So when you click on one of these, it opens up, this is location 1, the Sesquicentennial Oval. It opens up, you get information about that spot on campus, what it's like, some context there. You can get photos, you can get video, and then the real benefit right here is see in 360. So like we were talking about with the Pitt example, you can go for students not on campus or say international students when you're recruiting on recruitment tours, they can click on that link and go directly to that spot on the virtual tour. So see what that spot looks like. Or the really exciting use case is for students on campus. They can click on the secondary button here. It'll actually open up Google Maps and navigate them directly to that spot. So it becomes an on-campus self-guided tour. Really, really great for accessibility, for say students who aren't comfortable in large groups. This is a huge use case or say for students who are coming and visiting when your campus is closed, say students are on break, your student tour guides can't give those in-person tours. This is a really great way to give students something that they can then still take a campus tour entirely self-guided and still get all of that valuable informational content. So huge use case there. Another way to bring even more engagement to that self-guided on-campus tour is through the use of portals and pop-up AR stories. So I'll start with stories. You can see them right here. When a student is on a location on campus, they could scan a QR code that is particular for that location. We can also do it through GPS, although that's a little bit more to build out. That's fully possible too. But easiest way is to have a QR code that is specifically linked to a location on campus. So you could have that listed on the back of your campus map, your full campus map build out, right? Like we were talking before on the back of here, you could have all of the QR codes for each location. And from there, or for example, you could have signs on campus at each tour stop, right? So you could have a sign in front of your main library that students could then scan and it opens up this story. Again, they're getting informational content, photos, videos, everything about the spot that they're physically on while they're on campus. You can actually also include audio narration, right? So you could have your student tour guides record audio of the information about that location, and it becomes an even more personal feel. They're really getting the experience of the tour, but in a self-guided way. Another really exciting use case in that same way, right? If you scan a QR code for each location, you can actually open up what we call a portal. So this is really great for locations that you want to show off but can't really be open to the public. So things like dorm spaces, certain libraries, lab spaces. Spaces you're very excited about and want to show off but can't let people walk into in person. We can actually capture that location in 360 as part of a virtual tour, right? Or so, and then in augmented reality, they can scan a QR code and actually see a doorway appear in front of them. They can then walk through that doorway in augmented reality and look around them at the 360-degree capture of that space. So really, really great way to, again, show off those spaces for students who are on campus that you can't let them into. So you can still give them that experience and show them what those spaces look like. Really exciting use case there. Don't just have to take our word for it, right? We've got a couple of very quick 1-minute demos from some of our clients. Just take a look at those and what they say about their current AR experiences.
Wonderful AR business card just kind of brought my attention, and I was like, oh, that's something pretty cool. And we started a conversation, and I got to know more about the AR card. And yeah, then we decided to give it a try. You know, when you bring all these brochures, a lot of times students, they're not that interested. So when I saw, you know, the AR card, business card, that was, you know, kind of a pleasant surprise. And we were able to put our brochures and some of the PowerPoint and videos and, you know, campus tour, all just in one business card. And, you know, it helped us tremendously. When we travel, we don't have to bring all this heavy brochures. And a lot of times when you're trying to give student brochures, you know, they don't want to carry that either.
One of our prize things, I think, is we talk a lot about our boarding rooms with our families, but it's always, you know, sometimes we're in a position where I don't have photos with me, and I just kind of have to describe it. We have single rooms, double rooms, triple rooms. Most of our students go into double rooms. There's an ensuite bathroom, so on and so forth, but it doesn't really come to life. And so we decided to do a 3D view of the room, that they can move the room around, they can see what's in there, how they can arrange the wardrobes and the desks and things like that, see the bathroom itself and what's in there. And then we also decided to put in a few little pieces of information where they can click one of the little call-out boxes, and then it gives them more background information about what's available and some of the things. We then had that printed on a postcard, so they have the postcard that they can use and interact with. And then on the back has even more detailed bullet points about some of the key points of our boarding program, and that's been very popular as well.
Yeah, so two of our current clients talking about kind of their experiences and how they're using them today to help with recruitment and marketing. All right, great. So happy now to answer and take any questions that you guys may have. Yeah.
Yeah, please feel free to use the Q&A chat below, but we'll just start out. I believe they have a few here. So I guess for you, Paige, there are a lot of different use cases for AR. What would be your recommendation for universities just wanting to start out?
Sure. So there's, like you said, there are so many different use cases. Normally I would, if you're kind of wanting to explore augmented reality but not sure in what direction, my first question would be, is there any particular problem that you're having that you're looking to solve? So for TASIS, for example, it was we have this dorm room, but it's really hard to kind of describe it and give a full context there. In that case, I would recommend those like that internal dorm room model. Like I said, if you're particularly looking to market for undergrad, those mascots are huge. Really dynamic, really engaging, really bring and gather a lot of attention, both domestic and especially international. Um, so mascots are a huge, huge, huge use case. But if you're also not looking to kind of get started with that three-dimensional content, then I would say start with a brochure. That's kind of a bread and butter one, right? So I'm sure you guys have brochures. You're used to them. You work so hard on them. But they can, as I talked about a little bit, right? If anything changes, you have to redo them all again. You have to do them again every single year. You have to reprint them, reship them. They can be a real pain to travel with. They can be really expensive, both to print and to ship. Whereas swapping to an augmented reality, say business card or postcard or sticker version of your brochure, is a really great first starting point. And then it can actually save you a lot of time and money. Again, because all of those edits can be done digitally rather than having to print and ship and travel with everything again. We've had schools say they save in the tens of thousands of dollars just on printing alone year one, and how much less you have to print. Also much better for environmental pledges, right? Because you're not printing nearly as much. And as I said, typically those brochures are printed on a glossy paper or a thicker paper that is non-recyclable. Rather than printing all of that, you can then print instead on a brochure, on a business card or a single piece, right? And it's much less to print, much better for environmental pledges, much better again for your budgets, and it can be a really great first kind of starting point, and then you can always build from there.
It's great. Thank you. And I'm seeing one more. Do you have to use QR codes for activation?
Sure. So no. QR codes are best for when you're taking you want them to have some kind of physical piece that they can continue to take with them and interact with. We can also use a link activation. So if it's something you want to share with through like an email. We can do link activations as well. It's a little bit easier for three-dimensional link activations than for two-dimensional, something like a standard brochure. But it is possible to do a link as well. We do normally recommend, or we are, not that we recommend it, right? But typically having some kind of print piece with a QR code is normally the best way to go about, because, and especially something like a sticker, right? That's normally something that as you're recruiting and traveling, you're already giving out. And it's something that, because it now has this AR, they're more likely to keep and hang on to, and keep it coming back to engaging with. But what we can also do is what we call multiple activations. So we could have the same exact experience on your sticker as well as on a link that you can email out. So you can do both.
Great. Yeah. And I'll also mention, I think particularly since the pandemic, at least for me, I've become a lot more accustomed, and I think people in general have become a lot more accustomed to, scanning QR codes on restaurant menus, et cetera. So, we found that people have actually become a lot more accustomed to the concept of scanning QR codes. It's become more of an intuitive second nature kind of thing. So, yeah. But I believe, let me double check the Q&A, but I believe that is it. Yep.
Great.
So
One more
yeah,
thing, sorry, just not to cut you off, Aaron. We
no.
can also do slightly different, right? We can take, for example, a 3D model that we've created, like the dorm room model for Tassus, and actually attach it and place it directly into a web page itself. So it wouldn't super be augmented reality, right? Because you would still see the back of the web page rather than, say, your hand in front of the model or behind the model. But you can actually take the same 3D model and rotate it in space on the web page, look around the whole thing, and still get that kind of engagement from a web page itself. So kind of not AR, but very, very similar, and a way to share the same content on fully digitally as well.
Great. Great.
Right, cool. Well, if there's no more questions, thank you all so much for joining and chatting with us today. Please feel free to reach out to us at any time if you guys have any questions. Always happy to hop on a call or answer anything by email. So feel free to reach out at any time. Thank you all so much, and hope to be chatting with all of you soon.
Yeah. Thank you again for joining today.